Welcome to Thrive with Megan and Harry. We bring you news, views, and commentary about Harry and Meghan. Let's thrive together, guys. Hope you're all doing well. Breaking news, guys. Breaking news. So, apparently, the Queen has tested positive for what Buckingham Palace said, and I'm getting this story from BBC News. Um, So it says here the monarch is experiencing mild cold like symptoms, but expects to continue light duties at Windsor Castle over the coming week, the palace has said. Now, this, oh my God, this just shows how crazy this whole situation is, guys. Why is a 95-year-old woman? I mean, guys, did you guys see the other day she had some visitors or something, some guys, some people came to visit, and they had it on camera, and the queen could barely walk. She could, matter of fact, she could not move. That's what she said. She said, "I can't move." Um, why are they trying to just put up this whole ruse about the queen? Why, if the woman is not feeling well and she had back problems and she had knee problems, and listen, I'm younger, I'm way younger than the queen. I'm not that young, but I'm way younger than the queen. And sometimes, guys, I have knee problems, and sometimes I have a back issue, a lower back issue. Just, that's just a typical thing, and it feels horrible. Why are they pushing the old 95-year-old lady out to try to hold up something that's not, it's like they're trying to like say, okay, yeah, she's still, like, they're trying to show us she's still here, she's still here. I mean, the whole thing is just silly. It's very silly. Do you guys remember when her husband was sick and he went to the hospital and stuff? Do you remember that last picture that that we saw of him? The guy looked like if he was just propped up there. I mean, it's kind of sad. Like, don't do that. Like, if they're old people, just let them live their life comfortably and stop. Like, I don't know. And if they don't know that to say, well, no, I don't want to do it. How about you, as an individual and the person who's in charge of things, say, you know what, mom, or you know what, granny, you can stay. We'll do it, or something. I'm beginning to feel sorry because, listen, she does horrible things and blah blah blah, but she's still an old lady that's 95. She can remind you of your, of your grandmother or your granny, or whatever, or your great grandmother, whatever. But anyways, let's continue here. It says here again, like I said, she will continue to receive medical attention and will follow all the appropriate guidelines, it added in the statement. And another thing, if she has been surrounded with people who had the Rona, as she already had like the Rona, no, sorry, she's surrounded by people who had the Rona, like her son, he got the Rona. Then the Carmilla, she got the Rona. So the tampon and the tampon holder, they both got the Rona. And that has been within the last couple of weeks. Why is she not isolating? I don't understand. Do they have different rules for them than they do for us? Because I thought you're supposed to isolate after you come in contact with people who have that. But you know what? It is what it is. Goes on here. The Queen, 95, had been in contact with her eldest son and heir. There you go, I told you. The Prince of Wales, blah, 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 who tested positive last week. Like, I don't understand this. It is understood that a number of people have tested positive at Windsor Castle, where the Queen resides. Prime Minister Boris Johnson tweeted, blah, 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 I'm sure, I speak for everyone and wishing, blah, blah. Okay, I don't need to read his tweet. So it says the announcement comes after the UK's longest reigning monarch reached her platinum jubilee of 70 years on February 6th I didn't even know that. On the eve of her jubilee, she carried out her first major public engagement for more than 3 months, meeting charity workers at Sandringham. And I think that's when, anyways, I think that may have been when she said she couldn't walk, but I don't know. But let's move on here. The Queen, who will be 96 in April, had her first vaccine in January 2021 and is believed to have had all her follow-up jabs after that. And it says here, BBC correspondent Nicholas Mitchell said that she had been taking life rather more easily since spending a night in hospital for medical checks in October last year. And it says here, meanwhile, the BBC health correspondent Jim Reid said newly approved antiviral drugs could aid the Queen's recovery. He said that the drugs were now a key way to cut the risk of vulnerable people needing hospital treatment, although it was not clear if they would be definitely offered to the monarch. So I mean, the Rona is not as bad as it used to be. It is more like a cold, to be honest. And since she's been inoculated, she might be okay. And so that's basically it. So it says here, currently the available antivirals need to be taken within 3 to 5 days of contracting it. And it goes on to say, Prince Charles, 73, tested positive on 10th of January. He met with the Queen on 8th of February with light symptoms generally appear from 2 to 14 days after exposure. On Tuesday, she attended her first official engagement since coming into contact with Charles, which I don't understand. I thought she would have been quarantined. I thought she would have been I thought everybody has to, isolate. That's what I thought. But, who knows? I don't know. So it says here, she was holding a virtual meeting with 2 new ambassadors to the UK. The following day, she smiled and she suggested she had mobility issues. During a meeting with defense staff, okay, that's the meeting that I was talking about, standing while using a walking stick, she pointed to her left leg and said, "Well, as you can see, I can't move." That's basically what she said. The tone of this message from Buckingham Palace seems designed to provide important information about the Queen's health, but at the same time, play down any sense of alarm. Yeah, okay. So the concern about the 95-year-old monarch catching C is set against her being well enough to continue working. In terms of what happens next, she is clearly going to be very careful, monitored by her personal medical staff, the Queen's physician, and all that. Okay. So they're saying that she had a jab earlier this year, blah, blah, blah. Since then, she has spoken publicly about the benefits, blah, blah, blah. But the news is further reminder with the Queen's advanced years of the ever-present risk of health concerns. So we already know that. And it goes on to say that the tampon holder, the Camilla, 74, tested positive for the virus last week and days after her husband did, and it was the first time that she had caught it, and the second time for Charles, which we already know. The royal household has its own physician. It goes on and all that, and So it says here also the announcement comes days before England is expected to drop the legal requirement up to self-isolate. So, which means that she was breaking the rules because she was supposed to be self-isolating anyways. So, yeah. So, anyways, yeah, it's nuts. But all I'm saying here is, guys, isn't that a little nuts? That this old lady, instead of just let her rest, and I know she probably doesn't want to rest, but why don't they just let her rest, man? sometimes you have to take the reins from the older generation, because listen, there are people who, I've heard of this situation. It hasn't happened in my own family, because my mom, she doesn't drive, but there are some people that they will continue to drive, and they don't understand that they can't. And well, actually it happened, it did happen in the royal family, because remember, Philip used to be driving all over the place until he got into a huge accident. And I can't remember what happened. And I can't remember what happened, but something serious happened. He got into a huge accident, and then he was fine, but the other person wasn't. So and they had to, and I think he was driving the next couple of days or something. Sometimes you have to take the keys away from older people, especially someone who's 95. Just and in this situation, the keys means the monarchy, or having to do all this stuff that she does every day. So it's just crazy. What do you guys think of all this? I was surprised that they actually told us this, because remember I told you the other day, I was asking, do you think they'd actually tell us this? But there you go. I was just kind of like, I don't think they'll tell us if she ever does catch that. But well, apparently they did, and who knows? She probably had this for a way longer than, well, it's obvious she had it. She probably had it at the same time that her the Charles had it, and the tampon and the tampon holder, when they had it, she probably had it around the same time. But I don't know how this thing shows up, but either way, I'm surprised that they actually told us. That's all I can say. But because sometimes it seems like it takes a while to show up in your bloodstream or whatever. I don't know, or in your nasal passages. I don't know. It takes longer apparently. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know, guys. Oh my gosh, this is nuts. So there you go. That's the breaking news right there, and there you go. So guys, I wasn't planning to do an episode today, but since we're here, I actually wanted to, and I know you guys are going to keep talking in the comments, go right ahead. I wanted to do a little bit of Black history since we're here, okay? So today we are going to talk about the Harlem Renaissance, okay? So, the Harlem Renaissance was the development of the Harlem neighborhood in New York as a Black cultural mecca in the early 20th century, and the subsequent social and artistic explosion that resulted. Lasting roughly from the 1910s through the mid 1930s, the period is considered a golden age in African American culture, manifesting in literature, music, stage performance, and art. The Great Migration. The northern Manhattan neighborhood of Harlem was meant to be an upper-class white neighborhood in the 1880s. That's actually pretty interesting, because nowadays Harlem, which used to be, after that, it became a very black neighborhood. Nowadays, they're actually re-gentrifying this neighborhood, and now Harlem is now beginning to be very expensive, and it's beginning to just kick people out, gentrify the neighborhood. They're building things over and all that, and just kicking, people are getting kicked out. And this has been going on for years. But there you go. That is what's happening at the moment. But moving along, but rapid overdevelopment led to empty buildings and desperate landlords seeking to fill them. In the early 1900s, a few middle-class black families from another neighborhood known as Black Bohemia moved to Harlem, and other black families followed. Some white residents initially fought to keep African Americans out of the area, but failing that, many whites eventually fled. Outside factors led to a population boom from 1910 to 1920. African Americans' populations migrated in large numbers from the south to the north, with prominent figures like W.E.B. Du Bois, leading what became known as the Great Migration. In 1915 and 1916, natural disasters in the South put black workers and sharecroppers out of work. Additionally, during and after World War I, immigration to the United States fell, and Northern recruiters headed south to entice black workers to their companies. By 1920, some 300,000 African Americans from the South had moved north, and Harlem was one of the most popular destinations for these families. Langston Hughes. This considerable population shift resulted in a Black Pride movement, with leaders like Du Bois working to ensure that Black Americans got the credit that they deserved for their cultural areas of life. Two of the earliest breakthroughs were in poetry, with Claude McKay's collection, Harlem Shadows, in 1922, and John Toomer's Cane in 1923. Civil rights activist James Weldon Johnson's The Autobiography of an Ex-Colored Man in 1912, followed by God's Trombones in 1927, left their mark on the world of fiction. Novelists Anne Du Bois' protege, Jessie Redmond Fawcett's 1924 novel, There Is Confusion, explored the area of Black Americans finding a cultural identity in a white-dominated Manhattan. Fawcett was literary editor of the NAACP magazine The Crisis, and developed a magazine for Black children with Du Bois. Sociologist Charles Spurgeon Johnson, who was integral in the shaping of the Harlem literary scene, used the debut party for There Is Confusion to organize resources to create opportunity. The National Urban League magazine he founded and edited, a success that bolstered writers like Langston Hughes. Hughes was at that party along with other promising Black writers and editors, as well as powerful white New York publishing figures. Soon, many writers found their work appearing in mainstream magazines like Harper's. Zora Neale Hurston. Anthropologist and folklorist Zora Neale Hurston courted controversy through her involvement with the publication called Fire, helmed by white author and Harlem writers patron Carl von Vechten, and filled with works from prolific Black writers including Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, and Aaron Douglas. The magazine exoticized the lives of Harlem residents. Van Heersten's previous fiction stirred up interest among whites to visit Harlem and take advantage of the culture and the nightlife there. Though Van Vechten's work was condemned by older luminaries like Du Bois, it was embraced by Hurston, Hughes, and others. Countee Cullen. Poetry, too, flourished during the Harlem Renaissance. Countee Cullen was 15 when he moved into the Harlem home of Reverend Frederick A. Cullen, the pastor of Harlem's largest congregation, in 1918. The neighborhood and its culture informed his poetry, and as a college student at New York University, he obtained prizes in a number of poetry contests before going into Harvard's master's program and publishing his first volume of poetry, Color. He followed it up with Copper Sun and The Ballad of the Brown Girl, and went on to write plays as well as children's books. Cullen received a Guggenheim Fellowship for his poetry and married Nina Yolande, the daughter of W.E. Du Bois. Their wedding was a major social event in Harlem. Collins' review for Opportunity magazine, which ran under the column Dark Tower, focused on works from the African American literati and covered some of the biggest names of the age. Louis Armstrong. The music that percolated in and then boomed out of Harlem in the 1920s was jazz, often played at speakeasies offering illegal liquor, and jazz became a great draw for not only Harlem residents, but outside white audiences also. Some of the most celebrated names in American music regularly performed in Harlem: Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Bessie Smith, Fats Waller, and Cab Calloway, often accompanied by elaborate floor shows. Top dancers like John Bubbles and Bill Bojangles Robinson were also popular. The Cotton Club. With the groundbreaking new music came a vibrant nightlife. The Savoy opened in 1927, an integrated ballroom with two bandstands that featured continuous jazz and dancing well past midnight, sometimes in the form of battling bands helmed by Fletcher Henderson, Jimmy Luncford, and King Oliver. While it was fashionable to frequent Harlem nightlife, entrepreneurs realized that some white people wanted to experience black culture without having to socialize with African Americans and created clubs to cater to them. The most successful of these was the Cotton Club, which featured frequent performances by Ellington and Calloway. Some of the community derided the existence of such clubs, while others believed they were a sign that black culture was moving toward greater acceptance. Paul Robeson. The cultural boom in Harlem gave black actors opportunities for stage work that had previously been withheld. Traditionally, if black actors appeared on stage, it was in a minstrel show, musical, and rarely in a serious drama with non-stereotypical roles. At the center of this stage revolution was the versatile Paul Robeson, an actor, singer, writer, activist, and more. Robeson first moved to Harlem in 1919 while studying law at the Columbia University and continually maintained a social presence in the area, where he was considered an inspirational but approachable figure. Robeson believed that arts and culture were the best paths forward for black Americans to overcome racism and make advances in a white-dominated culture. Josephine Baker. Black musical revues were staples in Harlem, and by the mid-1920s had moved south to Broadway, expanding into the white world. One of the earliest of these was Eubie Blake and Noble Sissle's Shuffle Along, which launched the career of Josephine Baker. White patron Van Vechten helped bring more serious lack stage work to Broadway. Though largely the work of the white authors, and it wasn't until 1929 that a black authored play about black lives, Wallace Thurman and William Rapp's Harlem, played Broadway. Playwright Willis Richardson offered more serious opportunities for black actors with several one-act plays written in the 1920s, as well as articles in Opportunity magazine outlining his goals. Stock companies like the Krigwa Players and the Harlem Experimental Theater also gave black actors serious roles. Aaron Douglas. The visual arts were never welcoming to black artists, with art schools, galleries, and museums shutting them out. Sculptor Meta Warwick Fuller, a protege of Augusta Rodin, explored African American themes in her work and influenced Du Bois to champion black visual artists. The most celebrated Harlem Renaissance artist is Aaron Douglas, often called the father of black American art, who adapted African techniques to realize paintings and murals, as well as book illustration. Sculptor Augusta Savage's 1923 bust of Du Bois garnered considerable attention. She followed that up with a small clay portrait of everyday African Americans and would later be pivotal to enlisting black artists into the Federal Art Project, a division of the Work Progress Administration, the WPA. James Van der Zee's photography captured Harlem daily life as well as by commissioned portraits in his studio that he worked to fill with optimism and separate philosophically from the horrors of the past. Marcus Garvey, Black nationalist and leader of the Pan-Africanist movement, Marcus Garvey was born in Jamaica but moved to Harlem in 1916 and began publishing the influential newspaper Negro World in 1918. His shipping company, Black Star Line, established trade between Africans in America, the Caribbean, South and Central America, Canada, and Africa. Garvey is perhaps best known for founding the Universal Negro Improvement Association, or the UNIA, which advocated for a separate but equal status for persons of African ancestry, with the goal of establishing black states around the world. Garvey was famously at odds with W.E.B. Du Bois, who called him the most dangerous enemy of the African race in America. His outspoken views also made him a target of J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI. The Harlem Renaissance ends. The end of Harlem's creative boom began with the stock market crash of 1929 and the Great Depression. It wavered until prohibition ended in 1933, which meant that white patrons no longer sought out the illegal alcohol in uptown clubs. By 1935, many pivotal Harlem residents had moved on to seek work. They were replaced by the continuous flow of refugees from the South, many requiring public assistance. The Harlem race riot of 1935 broke out following the arrest of a young shoplifter, resulting in 3 deaths, hundreds injured, and millions of dollars in property damage. The riot was a death knell for the Harlem Renaissance. The impact of the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance was a golden age for African American artists, writers, and musicians. It gave these artists pride and control over how the black experience was represented in African American culture and set the stage for the civil rights movement. So, guys, that was very interesting. Oh my gosh. So, basically, all of these performers that I told you about here, Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, Paul Robeson, Marcus Garvey, Josephine Baker, all of these people, they have paved the way for artists to come along like Rihanna, like Beyonce, Janet Jackson, all of these amazing artists that we have today. Michael Jackson, we don't have Michael Jackson anymore, but all of this, the Jackson 5, all of these performers, the Motown, all of these stand on the Harlem Renaissance. They all stand on their shoulders, the people who were involved in the Harlem Renaissance. They stand on their shoulders. And I think it's just amazing. amazing that we can look back on that history and record that. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you so much if you've sent any super chats or super stickers. Thanks so much to my amazing channel members, Lydia Washington, Mrs. S, Arnold Sanders, and you know, like you guys, cookies and cream. You guys are just amazing. Thank you so much for anybody who sent super chats, as I said before. Um, I really do appreciate it. And, it's been amazing to bring this to you. So, guys, have an amazing Sunday. I don't think I've ever recorded on a Sunday before, but I think really it was necessary today. And I really appreciated getting, talking to you guys today. And I hope you guys are doing great. I hope you guys have a great day. And remember that Megan said this once, and I like to repeat it. It's not enough to just survive something. That's not the point of life. You've got to thrive. You've got to feel happy, unquote. And please remember to like, subscribe, and share this. We are almost, guys, almost. We're almost there. Believe it or not. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers. So, we just need to just click that subscribe button, guys. Click it. Thank you, guys. Have a great one. Bye.